Let's do the Russia story.
All right, let's do the Russia one. Russia. All right. Had you heard about this one? I know you'd heard this one, but this one's so great.
Yeah.
This is yesterday was a great news day. Yesterday was a great news day with the Elon thing and this Russia thing. It's fantastic. All right, let's get this bad boy ready here. All right, so there's a new indictment that alleges conservative media company took millions in Kremlin cash. I like the alliterative sounds there, Kremlin cash. So there was a federal indictment unsealed on Wednesday, and it alleges that a Tennessee-based media company, which played home to several prominent right-leaning online commentators, was secretly a Russian government-backed influence operation. The company is accused of receiving nearly $10 million from employees of Russia Today, RT, a Russian state-backed media company, as part of a scheme to create and distribute content to United States audiences with hidden Russian government messaging. Tenet Media, is the name of the company, worked with American conservatives or heterodox media figures, including Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Lauren Southern, all subscribed to by Tennessee Brando, I'm sure, who variously present themselves as independent journalists, documentarians, and political commentators. Not all of them immediately commented on having been publicly linked to a foreign propaganda site, but Johnson soon tweeted that he and other influencers had been victims in this alleged scheme. In his own tweet, Pool echoed that line, writing in part, "Should these allegations be proven true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims." Rubin, too, described himself as a victim, adding, "I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period." So going through this, to give the kind of a bare bones structure of how this worked here, there's two people. They have Russian names that are very difficult to pronounce. It looks like Kostiatin Kalishnikov and Elena Afanasyev, I believe is how it says. And they work for Russia Today, RT. Now, back when Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States put embargoes and sanctions on Russia and said, okay, RT can't operate within the United States. So these two Russian nationals paid an American media company out of Tennessee to shove out their propaganda talking points for them. And the indictment isn't for like Dave Rubin and Tim Pool and all of them. It's for those two Russian foreign agents, because when you do something like that, you have to register with the Attorney General as a foreign agent so they know, you're spreading this propaganda. And the company, Tenet, is headed up by Lauren Chen. Now, are either of you familiar with Lauren Chen?
I'm not.
John, you familiar with Lauren Chen?
No.
Oh, okay.
Before reading this story, I was unfamiliar with Lauren Chen.
I'm so glad to hear this because, all right, so Lauren Chen, I got a video of her right here in case no one knew who Lauren Chen was. I've been following Lauren Chen for a long time. I'm not literally on her Twitter page or anything.
I've been right behind her.
Right behind her, yeah. Someone's got to keep America safe, John. It's going to be you? What's going to be? I don't see you doing shit. But no, Lauren Chen popped on my radar many years ago. She is a Canadian. She's not even American, by the way. So there's three countries involved here, and she is a far right fascist, and she's an expat from Canada, living in the United States. And these are her opinions. Like this is just Now, tell me, does this sound like?
Wait, I've seen this girl before.
Oh, okay, you've seen her?
I recognize the background, but no, I've definitely seen this girl before.
Oh, it's just my background. But let's see. All right, so let's go. Let's hear the wise word of Miss Chen.
When it comes to dealing with the rights woman problem, there are definitely those of you out there who will just say, well, it's simple. We need to repeal the 19th. And trust me, I am no fan of the 19th.
For those of you wondering,
I've seen this clip.
Okay,
I was like, she's the girl that argued that girls shouldn't vote, right?
Yes, yeah. So for those of you wondering, the 19th Amendment is the amendment that guarantees women the right to vote. It's been on the books for 104 years now, but Lauren Chen, not even an American, I might add, coming in telling us what to do. But let's see what else she has to say.
Repeal the 19th. And trust me, I am no fan of the 19th Amendment myself. I think it more so than anything else solidified in our consciousness the idea that the political process should be one person, one vote, which is not a good system. I don't believe in democracy. I believe individual rights and limited government are way more important than the idea of everybody having a vote. And if the past few generations have showed us anything, it's that democracy and individual rights and limited government don't often go hand in hand. I'm in favor of a limited franchise. And by the way, no, that's not a radical position. That is the position that the founding fathers have when it comes to dealing with.
Whose founding fathers, Lauren? Not yours, I'll tell you that. Now, I ask you, Tennessee Brando, I submit to you, does that sound like a foreign Russian agent to you? I mean, I gotta say, she sounds like baseball mom, apple pie, American as they get. I think that she's been framed. What about you? How about you?
Well, that's what's so funny about this to me, man. Really, is that they're denying it, saying they're the victims in it, and I'm like, okay, let's just say that let's just go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know where the money was coming from. They're still echoing those talking points, so that just means that someone looked over at them and said, "Hey, these guys over here and gals are echoing our talking points, so let's get behind them." I mean, to hear that get said and know there's people that agrees with that. I've had people that I used to have respect for say that very thing to me. We're not a democracy, and I shouldn't have to live under it. And it's just I believe that it caught on because of people like that.
John, how about you?
I remember seeing that clip, TJ, and I remember trying to make a video with it. And the problem was, it was too just chock full of stupid things that were so obviously set up to be countered that I couldn't even make a TikTok. It ended up being 10 minutes long because it's just one thing after the other where she's just like, yeah, no, it's not a radical position. It's this position of our founding fathers. It's like, yeah, well, their position was also you can own slaves. You don't think that's fucking radical? It's like none of it makes sense. But there is at least an honesty to it, where it's like, hey, yeah, no, democracy really gets in the way of individual rights. And as long as you know specifically whose individual rights I'm talking about, I'm being very honest. And it's like, yeah, no, you're right. It does often get in the way of the individual rights that you are specifically talking about. But you know what it doesn't get in the way of? The rights of the people whose votes you're trying to take away. It actually helps them a lot. And if you don't have it for everyone, then they aren't really individual rights, not really small government, is it? And that's kind of the point to her. To move it, I'm so glad she's a Russian op because that makes a lot of sense.
It does, yep.
Moving it back to Tim Pool and the other big names that were implicated here, the Benny Johnsons, their response to this, because you're right, they weren't implicated, but their response was so fucking funny. TJ, do you have it prepped up?
Oh, I can find it. Let's see how Tim Pool's statement. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
I have it.
Oh, you have it? Okay,
so
right,
I can share this.
Yeah.
But I removed myself instead of sharing my screen.
It's John's turn to be visited by the three ghosts of bad Wi-Fi. All right.
So Temple says, my statement regarding allegations in the DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as other personalities and commenters, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet and will continue to exist after any such agreement expires. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel, blah, 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 blah. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples include discussing spirituality, dating, and video games. The show was produced in its entirety by our local team without input from any external to the company. TCW is a separate company not associated with timcast.com or other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true, and these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls. And to the journalists who wish to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about anything currently going on, you can eat my ass. And it's a brilliant argument. It's hey guys, no, you got it all wrong. I wasn't paid by the Russians to promote Russian misinformation. They started paying me because I was already promoting Russian disinformation. I was not an operative. I was merely a stooge, good sir. And it's a no-win situation. You're just caught. Yeah. You're caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Whether or not you knew you were being bribed, the effect is still exactly the same. It would honestly, I'd have more respect for you, Tim, if you're like, yeah, I took their money, so what? I took some Russians' money. I still kept saying what I wanted to. They're the real losers here. That would have been, I would have had respect for him. It would have been a terrible legal thing to say. His lawyers wouldn't let him. But that would have been the right move as a poster.
Yeah.
So the thing with Tim Pool, like, so I have a copy of the indictment right here. Now, the thing with Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, who we're assuming commentator 1 and commentator 2 are in this indictment, because like they list their YouTube follower counts and they kind of matched it up and they found the people who work for Tenet, and so it's definitely these two they're talking about the indictment. In the indictment, it mentions how much they were paid, and it was let me see if I can pull up here how much they were paid, but it's more than you would guess. I'll tell you that. Okay, so commentator 1, I can't remember if that's Rubin or Pool. But in exchange for a monthly fee of $400,000 plus a $100,000 signing bonus and an additional performance bonus, commentator 1's production company agreed that any and all content created under this agreement will be property of this company. And the other one, Rubin, in exchange for a fee of $100,000 per video, commentator 2's production company granted U.S. company a non-exclusive, non-transferable license. Could you imagine getting paid $100,000 a video or $100,000 a week for one video? That $500K in 1 month for making right-wing propaganda for Russia. Now, like what you said, John, whether you knew or not, you're not getting that money for nothing. Like you definitely know you're getting it to back someone up.
We're not getting $100,000, TJ. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
we would have a functional show with a functional production if we had that.
We have a production assistant and everything that can help out with the shit. Now, what's really interesting about this is they did ask, or at least I think Tim Pool did ask, hey, what's going on here? And who's the person that is actually backing this? And of course, so Lauren Chen knew. Lauren Chen and her husband were approached directly by the Russians. Like if you read the indictment, they even refer to them as the Russians throughout the entire thing. So like they got no leg to stand on. They actually knew what was going on. But they did try to hide it from their employees. So like in the indictment, it mentions, where do we go here? Oh, I found her. Okay. Say what?
Oh, no.
Commentator 2's own names and leveraging their existing audience for license. Falsely portraying commentator 1 and commentator 2 U.S. company was sponsored by a private investor named Eduard Gregorian. In truth and in fact, Gregorian was a fictional persona. For example, during contract negotiations, commentator 1 requested that founder 1 provide the profile for an article for Eduard Gregorian. In response, founder 1 sent commentator 1 a one-page profile provided by founder 1 by another fictional persona purporting to represent Edward Gregorian. So what they're talking about, they created this fake flyer for this guy named Edward Gregorian and gave it to Tim Pool and Dave Rubin saying, this is your investor. It's a Western European guy with a lot of money and he likes your content. He wants to make more of this. And I got to tell you, I can't blame them for buying it. At that point, it's like, okay, well, this is a guy that has a bunch of money. Here's his name. They tried Googling him. They couldn't find him anywhere. And they kind of rolled with it. So there's plausible deniability at first that they didn't know that it was actually being paid by the Russian government. But after a while, like you said, when all your talking points match up directly with the Russian government, they know. And that people are telling you that you're being funded by the Russians and you have this angel investor giving you $500,000 a month. Come on. I just don't believe them. I don't believe that they didn't know. What about you, Brandon?
No, I don't believe them either. I can't believe them. And it's one of those things where, at this point, man, how do we figure out how to phrase this? How do we go about putting the toothpaste back in the tube now that there's been so much misinformation put out there? And with this idea that if we, call them out about this, well, we're weaponizing the government against them. They're going to make the argument about free speech. So this is one of those things where in any other era, man, it would be talked about on every news channel, every publication would be front page news. Russians, took over. But how are we ever going to get it back away from them and make people believe they've been duped?
So I'm going to make a slightly controversial statement here.
Let's go.
I think that there's not really a problem with this. I think that it's kind of silly. Now, when it comes to like investing in political campaigns, that sort of thing, lobbying the government, foreign actors should definitely not be able to do that. But when it comes to the media, like I don't know, like I think that free speech is a human right, and if a Russian wants to have it, it's no different than an American one to have it. It doesn't bother me that Tim Pool was paid by the Russians. It just should be known. You know what I mean? Like it just like should be known. People who follow Tim Pool should have to reconcile with that and understand that. But I don't think it's like, I don't think he did something morally wrong by taking the money. I don't think it's something that should be criminal. It's just he's wrong, and he people should know that he's wrong. And this is evidence that he was being paid to say this. That's why that's good indicator that it was wrong. And go ahead, TJ.
Oh, so yeah, legally he didn't do anything wrong. You're right. Like legally, there's like the legal. Well, I mean, I guess like because like morally, definitely, if you're getting paid by someone, your audience should know. I don't know like what the laws are behind that, but I think that you should disclose that, you know, for journalistic integrity. Hey, this is where my investor's coming from. Legally, though, like you mentioned, like the Russian foreign actor that wants to have a media arm in the United States, they have to register the Department of Defense. That's the only crime, really. Like if they would have just registered, then they wouldn't be under this indictment, but they did not want to because the United States would probably put the kibosh on that. They're like, no, we don't want you out there spreading the sedition against, you know, the United States military operations. That's
we
not,
do all the time.
So, you know, this is
constantly.
This is just funny because Brandon, I don't know if you saw this last week, but Donald Trump made a short trip to Arlington National Cemetery, and he had his picture with the thumbs up over the dead Marine's body and everything. And what was wild about that is, so what he did was against federal election law. Like you can't go to Arlington National Cemetery and do a campaign spot there. And John and I were talking about how what's really twisted about this is politicians use dead soldiers for propaganda all the fucking time. They do it all the time. It's essentially a language for them to use the bodies of dead soldiers to further their interest. However, there is one small band of decency where they say, okay, look, you can't literally go to Arlington Cemetery and film a commercial over the fallen service members. Not for Donald Trump, though. Like Donald Trump, it's like it's that the bar is that low. So it is funny whenever you do see that there actually are guardrails in our politics or in our media, that some lines you can't cross, where all you need to do as a foreign actor is register with the state. And like Russia, RT did it already. RT did it years ago until the invasion of Ukraine. But I mean, also I get it too, because they wouldn't have allowed it because they banned any Russian media. And so they would have been rejected. So that was their only way to get away with it. I wanted to point this out, that there was a really funny moment in the guys, read the indictment. It is hilarious. Like it is side splitting reading the shit that went on in this indictment. There was one part where Lauren Chen had to pretend she was this fake Russian guy who wasn't part of the Russian government or anything. And she would talk about how she was in Moscow. And, you know, she got the time wrong because she wasn't thinking, oh, I got to put it out on Moscow time and fucking it up and everything. But there's one part in there. Do you guys remember when Tucker Carlson went to that Russian grocery store?
Yes.
Earlier this year. So Lauren Chen's company told the producer, hey, get this out to all the folks so they can talk about, you know, Tucker's trip to the grocery store. And the producer says, all right, on or about February 15th, 2024, a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia, I can't pronounce her last name, posted the video in the producer Discord channel. Later that day, the producer privately messaged the founder, Lauren Chen, on Discord, saying, they want me to post this, noticing the video that she had posted, but it just feels like overt shilling. And he says, and the founder said, I think we should put it out there. The producer acquiesced, responding, all right, I'll put it up tomorrow. I love that part right there, because even the producer's like, look, I know that we're doing this shady shit with the Russians, but come on, really? Like, this is just obvious Russian propaganda. It's like, no, let's put it out there anyway. And that, Hilarious stuff. You guys get a time for a good read. It's only like 10 pages. Read it. It is a fantastic read. I love that though. I love that the producer's like, boss, you sure about this one? Post the fucking video. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, go ahead, John.
Good. That's good. No, that's all I had to say about that.
Oh,
we talked about it. We talked about it a good deal yesterday, but this has been a funny saga.
It has been. It's just that the conservative media sphere is just circling the toilet. Honestly, it's the worst people imaginable. Like, you knew all these folks were garbage. You knew they were terrible. And John and I were trying to figure this out, Brandon, the other day about what they were just going to do this anyway. So why did Russia? You know what I'm wondering? Why did they pay them so much? That's what I can't figure out.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, like, they're already doing it. So if they're already doing it, why pay them that much?
That's
a great point.
TJ. Yeah, I don't.
That's a lot of money.
It is. It's a lot of fucking money.
It is.
It's not like they have a war to fight or anything, TJ.
Right. I was trying to see
what is the ROI on that ad spend? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm wondering here, because like in the indictment it says that they spent about $10 million. And from what I saw, then again, I didn't read through a fine-tooth comb, but I only saw like 2.5 or 3 allocated for in that. So maybe there's more indictments coming out, because like they sound like every other conservative commentator. It's not like there's a wild difference. I mean, I don't know. Did you see that video?
I did say this yesterday. Like, there was a turning point where the Republican Party,
no pun intended,
yes, led like the initial thrust was from the Daily Wire crew, the Tim Pools of the world, like the conservative influencer sphere really pushed the anti-Ukraine thing before the politicians did. Like, this was led within the political party first by the influencers. And so if this was pretty quid pro quo, it fucking worked, you know? And that $10 million was the most well-spent $10 million ever. But it did seem genuine to me. Like, I feel like they would have done it anyway. I don't know. It's hard. So many of them, like, immediately were like, yeah, Putin not that bad of a guy. You know, this is going before Ukraine. You know, like, Trump had a fucking hard on for him.
Yeah. You're right. Like, it's hard to argue with the results that there is a significant portion of the American populace that really loves Vladimir Putin, like, which would unthinkable 10 years ago, just unthinkable that would be your average opinion for right wingers. And but goddamn, $100,000 a video, like, no video is worth that. Like, no video could, like, I mean,
TJ, I just figured it out.
Oh, let's go.
Figured it out. So this is what happened. It was going on anyway, and then these guys, they identified, if we start giving these guys money, who are already talking good things about Vlad, and we tell Vlad that we gave him the money to say that, Vlad's gonna like us.
Oh yeah,
and the more money we give him, the more impressive it'll look. And that's exactly what happened there.
I like that because, like, nothing else is clicking for me that a Tim Pool video is going to be worth 100,000. I don't know. It's just weird shit. I don't know. You think I would just think they would pick more impressive people. Like, Tim Pool would not be the top of my list if I was going to go to a conservative commentator to, like, have them bat my points. Like, I don't know.
We've said this. Ben Shapiro was too smart.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
He's running a legitimate organization over there. Tim Pool ain't.
Wait, no, we weren't talking about that yesterday. We were saying that, your average conservative commentator is just like, a fridge temperature IQ. Like, we get that though. But, like, Ben Shapiro is kind of an exception. Ben Shapiro's no dummy. Like, the guy is pretty smart. As far as conservatives go, I can see him saying, no, thanks. I'm not doing this. Obviously, he even points out, like, when Trump does the illegal shit, he kind of tepidly walks his way into it. But man, Tim Pool would be the easy mark on that. Dave Rubin, like, come on. Yeah, that's some wild stuff. I got it. All
right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this show. If I look a little bit different right now, it's because I'm having technical difficulties. But I'm very still much appreciating that you watched all the way to the end of the episode. And if you are like me, then every time Tennessee Brando says a word beginning with WH, you get a little hit of dopamine, and you might want to get that hit again. So, Tennessee Brando, in case anyone wants to see you somewhere else, where can they find you?
Oh, well, appreciate that. I'm on YouTube as a Tennessee Brando, Facebook, pretty much everywhere on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. It's TN_Brando. And I only have those accounts. There are so many fake accounts out there of me now, and so many imposters running scams. Don't fall for any of those. My official pages are out there, and most of my content is on YouTube, but I put it everywhere else too. I really appreciate you guys for having me on.
Thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you, Brandon. Listen, everyone, we appreciate you watching the entire show. Feel free to check us out on YouTube, on TikTok. Your right to watch our content shall not be infringed. You can do it anytime you want. I also want to speak for John. He wanted to pass along a message that TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, is the alpha and the omega of the show, the beginning and the end. He controls everything. He is the brains. He is the brawn. This is his brainchild. John just wanted to pass the best compliments possible, and I'm sure you all agree. So we'll catch you guys later next time. Let's see if the sound comes back. All right.